Good evening, it's Peter Merrick. I tried to do a video at the beach, but guess what? It was so windy, so loud, my voice, you couldn't hear it. Hello, it's Peter Merrick again. I'm at one of my favorite places in the world. I like coming here in the afternoon and just walking, and it's called La Jolla Shores. However, the content that we're going to go over is exactly what I did at the beach, and it's something I think is really important. It starts off with a question. The question is, what's more valuable for people? Their loose connections or their strong connections? Let me define what the two are. A loose connection is someone you might have worked with many years ago, someone who you've met at an event, but you're not constantly seeing that person, and they might be in a different industry altogether, or in a different city or a different country. And then there happens to be our strong connections, and those could be family members, those could be really good friends, those could be work associates who actually work with us. So let me share with you a study that was done by one of the great sociologists, social scientists, and it was Mark Grabner-Votter. And what he did is he looked at how people got jobs. And he found out the majority of people got their information, new information, and got new job opportunities from people who they're loose associates, they're loose connections. And he said the reason why that happens is because your strong connections, they're friends with all the same people, they get the same amount of information as everyone else. So your loose associations, your loose connections are very valuable, but most people don't cultivate it. So on LinkedIn, you have the ability to have thousands and thousands of loose connections, and these people are going to bring you valuable information, people that you don't know, but they have access to information that you need. And I want to share with you a real life story. Years ago, I worked with a number of individuals who worked at a company called Nortel. Now, Nortel in the late 1990s was one of the biggest tech companies in the world. And then what happened is, well, you don't know Nortel, but Nortel doesn't exist now. So here were these people who had everything invested in Nortel, all their relationships were in Nortel. The problem is they didn't have any connections outside of Nortel. So they would go to headhunters, and those headhunters had cultivated relationships with all these other tech firms. So these people were able to be placed somewhere else. So again, your loose affiliations are important. Now let me share with you how you can actually take advantage of your loose affiliations. In business, you have to contract your brand. What does that mean? There's a zillion things each of us can do to make money, but the problem happens to be, if we happen to be everything, then we're nothing. Have you ever heard that? A jack of all trades is a jack of none. So what you have to do is you have to contract what you do. So what does that mean? That means you have to figure out something that you're really passionate about. And that is what you're going to put your chips on the table, and you're going to work at it. And you're going to let everybody else know. Because in your loose affiliations, the thousands of people that you might have met in the world, in your journey, you have to have a unique value proposition, something that you can actually explain to them within a few minutes. For example, when someone asks me, Peter, what do you do? How do you make money? And I look at them and say, I'm an income and capital enhancement consultant. I specialize in pulling money out of companies for business owners, tax exempt. I take corporate money and I pull it out tax exempt so someone can spend it personally. All the tax lawyers and tax accountants who've read me over the years, who've met me over the years, they know that's what I do. So I'm a lighthouse. So when they actually come across a business client who has millions of dollars stuck in their company, they think of me. And again, it doesn't happen all the time. Now, there's people I deal with every single day who are in my inner group. So there are three groups that you're going to have. You're going to have your synergy group. These are going to be your core people. These are usually anywhere from 2 to 10, and you have to be very selective of those people. Make sure they have the same values. Make sure that you're able to work together, and make sure there's opportunity. And if they don't fit that, get rid of them. However, if the person doesn't share your values or whatever, you can move them off to, let's say, your church or a group. That would be your weak connections. So we've mentioned before that a human being really can't handle more than 150 relationships that they're constantly nurturing. However, you might have thousands of people that you do know. And with those people, what's important to do is let them know who you are, what you do, and when the time comes and they have that issue, you're going to be called upon. Now, I want to share with you something which you're going to find really quirky, because this has to do with me back in the 80s. I did a thesis on why smokers were the most valuable people in a corporation. Now, let me tell you why and how that happened. And I'm going to admit this. I was one of them. I was a smoker. And why did I say that they were the most valuable people in a corporation? Let's imagine you've got 1,000 people in a tech company. Some work in marketing, some work in engineering, some work in administration. Now, the people in engineering, they don't know anybody in marketing. However, let's imagine that Lois is a smoker, and she goes down to the smoking area and she meets Bob. So she's in engineering and Bob's in marketing. And now they're social deviants and they start talking, and normally they would never have met anywhere else, but they met. So later on, when Lois is with the engineers and they say, we need to go and see if there's a market for this, but we don't know anyone in marketing. So Lois is going to put up her hand and say, I know this guy in marketing. And they're going to cross-pollinate. And that's an example of loose connections, because these people are actually communicating with each other and they know what they do. And this is, in essence, how new information gets brought into your tribe, into your group, the people you see consistently. So again, I'm going to impress upon you that you have to decide what you do, because there's a zillion ways to make money in this world. I've seen people make money on things that I never thought you could make money, but they did. So the question is, have you defined what you do? So when people think of you, they know where to go to get you. So make sure your message happens to be very clear. As I shared with you, my message to anybody who deals with me, how I pay for my bills, is I am an income and capital enhancement consultant. I specialize taking huge amounts of money out of corporations, tax exempt, so an individual can spend it. That's what I do, and everyone who's ever worked with me knows that's what I do. And when that situation arises, I happen to have shelf space. I am the Lighthouse Broadcasting. So the question is, are you going to be the lighthouse? Because there's so many things, and you might think that what you do is not so unique, but I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to leave this with you. Yes, it is unique, because you are the only person who's like you. So you're the only person doing whatever you're doing like you. And there's 7.5 billion people on the planet, and we're not going to know everyone. However, we don't need that many people in our network and in our loose affiliations for us to be successful. But you got to know what you want, know what to broadcast, and let people know that you're open to business. This has been great. I wish the beach wasn't so noisy earlier on. And I'm at one of my favorite places in the world. I like coming here in the afternoon and just walking. And it's called La Jolla Shores, and I walk it, so I like sand in my feet. And it's very relaxing. But we're going to continue this dialogue, because again, I like getting up and teaching. My mother used to say, Peter, you should be a prof. And I said, yeah, I'd like to be a prof. I was a prof. However, I didn't want to just read books. I wanted to go out and test. And that's what I did for 30 years. I was in the field, and I would come back, I would reflect, I would write on it, and then I would go back out. And if you're interested in these concepts and more, go to Amazon and purchase The King of Main Street, because I talk about it all. So go out there, and if we're not friends, please follow me. Please invite me to be one of your contacts on LinkedIn. In addition to that, like, share, and make a comment. And I look forward to going on this adventure with you, and I look forward for us to become loose contacts, and perhaps we'll become strong contacts. Have a great evening. I look forward to continuing this dialogue. Bye-bye.